Howdy friends! So, with the classic WoW demo right around the corner, Blizzard has already made their beloved game available for download. And as you've imagined, the community has wasted zero time putting that game under a microscope and data mining that puppy. So, the results have brought some interesting screenshots that also show some interesting graphic changes that weren't actually in the original game. So let's take a moment to just dive in and see how different these graphical changes are. Now, before we begin, I want to point out that the picture I'm looking at here, this is the human starting screen, and it's probably the most predominant picture I've seen circulating throughout the community. But I want to point out we don't know for certain if these pictures are real or not. I mean, we won't know for a week until the demo actually comes out, so I'm just going to go forward with that assumption that they're legitimate. So if I'm wrong, hey, no harm done, we find out in a week. I was able to kind of get the human starting screen on an original client, and I really want to specify, when I refer to the classic demo, I'm going to refer to it as demo or classic demo. And when I'm referring to the old game, how it originally was, I'm just going to refer to it as the original. So that should just to prevent any confusion with that. So I have here an original client that you can see the first thing that stands out to me is the shadowing. Look at the shadowing on the demo image here. You can see that on the demo, he has shadow here on his arm. On the original, there's not that kind of shadowing. Particularly here on his shield arm, there's nothing on the inside of his arm showing a shadow. So we can see that there's likely going to be some improved shadow textures in the demo than there is in the original. I'm also seeing that there could be some higher quality textures, but that's hard to notice because right here obviously I've got the live game, you can see it from different angles, you can see the movement, and so if there are better textures, this is just an image, so it's not going to reveal it as well. Not sure how everyone feels about that, but this is just what I'm seeing right here. I know there's a lot of talk about improved water quality. Now look back here, it looks the same in this image. So I guess maybe here on the character selection screen, they didn't want to implement anything like that, or maybe the changes, I don't know for sure why, but the water here looks identical, so I guess that's good. Another thing that stands out is look at this classic logo. So we got World of Warcraft, and obviously we don't have the word classic because this was the original, but they seem to have allowed a little more space to have the logo change. I don't see any harm done with that. I mean, that's fine. It is World of Warcraft Classic. The strange difference is the logo is a little bit lighter in the picture than it is on my client. So I think Blizzard actually just lightened up the logo and they changed the registered trademark location to be, actually I don't see it at all on the picture. I don't know if that means anything, or maybe, oh, maybe it's this really small, I'm not sure. So that's the whole legal side of it. I don't know why they would have done that. But some of it is really good, and this is something we might not have thought about, but we now have kind of confirmed we can be happy is, I mean, the character selection. We don't have any race changes, anything like that. Most people would say, well, yeah, that's 1.12. That's what we would have expected. But I think it's safe to just know for sure the races, everything looks the same. We've got kind of a confirmation that everything looks the same, no changes other than the shading and then the classic logo here. I know there's probably some people in the community that might not like that. I had posted this picture on the Classic Azeroth forum, and some people had a little bit of they were saying like, oh no, I don't want to see these changes in the game. Personally, I can sympathize with those people. I don't think this will change anyone's experience in any way. These are so minimal. So I'm going to move on to another picture and see if we can't just identify anything else. Alright, next here we have the city of Ironforge. This is about as close of an exact replica I could get from the image that's circulating here. And the first thing I have that stands out to me in the original client is the quality of the lava. I mean, you can look here that there's clearly a lower quality of the lava flow compared to the demo. And I think that's the thing we're going to continue to see here, is they improve the quality of just liquids. I mean, you can see here that this is there's clearly a missing asset for the lava flow in the demo compared to the classic, but clearly we've got just a demo here as an unfinished product. I think you're going to see a lot of those, particularly the lack of NPCs walking around, just because it's a demo. Maybe those will be added soon. We won't even be exploring this part of the game in the demo, so Blizzard has probably put this on the back burner and focusing on other things. So, but I can just really, this looks a lot, almost identical to that picture. I mean, look at the lighting of these homes right here. Let me turn it right here. This looks just identical. I mean, there's no brazier in the picture, but that's to be expected. Little things like that missing, but the lighting of the homes is almost identical. So maybe there's not much of a lighting inequality improvement, but if there is, maybe it's just slightly, or it's just how it casts on your character. Because I mean, this looks really good. This is a 2004 game, and it just looks incredible. I'm kind of blown away by how good this still looks compared to what's out there. This is just fantastic. But enough about my nostalgia. Not a lot of changes here other than the lava. That's the one thing I'm focusing on. That is really improved. So I think that's what we're going to see kind of moving forward, is better liquids. Alright, here we are at the Forgotten Pools in my favorite zone of the Barrens. Now this image here is actually very telling. The first thing that stands out to me, the absolute most, is look at this lack of ground clutter. And here in the original client, there's not as much vegetation, there's not as much ground clutter across the pond. But look here in the demo, and you can just see this lush, very, very green grass growing. And that looks more like the BFA client. So it seems they might have kept some of the ground clutter settings that's not in the original game. So I'm interested to see that they incorporated that change. I don't want to give my opinion on that because I'm not quite sure what I think of it, but that is something I didn't expect to see. You can also tell that the water quality, like I had mentioned, the quality of the liquids is a lot higher in the image than it is here in the demo. I mean, that's just, you can see the reflection. It does look a lot better in the demo than it does here in the classic. And look here at this view distance, the mountains. This is something I'm very relieved to see. Is look how the view distance here on the mountains, they're very blurred. Well, just like in the image. The demo doesn't seem to have a better view distance. They haven't improved that. Because I know in the BFA client, especially like when you're flying, you can just see for miles and miles. And it really shrinks the world. It makes it feel a lot smaller. But in this version, I mean, you can see that you can see the dry hills here. Well, it's the same. So I'm kind of relieved to see that the view distance hasn't been increased in the demo compared to the original. That would have been a real big change. But still though, this vegetation, I'm really surprised to see that they improved the ground clutter. I'm curious what that will feel like once we're actually in the demo. And next here we've got the Undercity Canals. And I mean, the first thing that stands out is obviously, like I keep going to, look at the liquids, look at the slime. You can see it's got a much higher resolution, or a higher quality at least, here in this image. So I think the thing that Blizzard really is consistent with is just the higher quality liquids throughout all of their images. You can see here though, the textures look pretty much the same. I don't know if I could even say that these are any better than in the demo. They look just right on. And even the lighting, I mean, look at this. The way the lamps cast down the lighting, everything looks pretty much the exact same. I mean, the only thing I can spot as far as the difference is, I mean, I guess like this barrel here is a little lighter than the barrel in the demo. So that's nothing to even really talk about there. That's so minor. So it seems like everything here is really the same, and this is what we wanted. Other than the liquids, everything here looks the same. The following pictures I'm going to show come from the YouTuber SFan, who claims he was tipped off and given these screenshots, which, if they're legit, is awesome. So big thanks to you, SFan, for providing this content. Link to his videos will be in the description below, so I encourage you to check him out. So looking at these pictures, once again, water quality looks improved. And now obviously the picture he's provided is at night, and this one is kind of noonday, or I'm sorry, in the evening at dawn or dusk. But something that you'll stand out is if you look at the shadow, and this is something he talks about in his video, but I'm just kind of confirming it, you can see that the shadow is just kind of a blob below, as if it was being cast at noonday with the sun right above. And in the video, his is cast like a real shadow, like a silhouette being cast to the side. So if you are a fan of the blob, I'm sorry, but that blob shadow is going to go away. Something else that stands out, obviously the Knoll camp is not involved in his picture, but once again, the vegetation, the ground clutter is increased. On his mind, the distant hills are just completely barren. I mean, you can see a few of these reeds along the riverbed, but in the distance, it's just flat ground, just textured grass, not any actual assets. So that's real interesting to see. The tree, though, this is kind of revealing. There's no quality change to the trees. I mean, nothing. This looks identical. There's just a few extra plants on his client that are in front of it. So seems to be telling us the same thing is consistent. The vegetation has been turned up. The ground clutter, I think, is the official video setting is what it's called. But the ground clutter is turned up. Textures look about the same. Shadows are improved. I mean, look in his picture, you can see some of these trees back here, the way the shadow kind of cuts across the trees. I don't think you'll get that kind of quality in this original client. So shadows, textures, water, and I think that's about it in this setting. Alright, here we are in Death Knell, and something you can see, and this is obviously another picture from S-Fan's video, kind of highlighting the talent trees. Now, it seems like everything looks the same, nothing really changed here. Obviously, I don't have a High Warlord battle axe, but something that is interesting, though, is the glitch on the bag space. You can see here with my gold, there's kind of a clean section set for your money, and on his version, on the demo version, it seems to be kind of cut out, like awkwardly pasted together. It's very possible that's just because it's a demo, they're still working on that, but this does kind of raise a question how legitimate all of these pictures are. Now I'm going to lean towards it's probably just something with a demo they're working on. Maybe the person who put this together and took that screenshot in the demo, maybe something happened with his transfer over, because it's not as easy as just downloading it and hitting play. You kind of have to finagle with it in order to make it playable, so maybe it got lost there. But either way, looking at the background here, that's kind of my main focus. You can see the lighting on this tree here is clearly improved. The lighting on the stones seem to be casting moonlight on them. So I don't know if we're getting like better. The moon's not there, but maybe you're getting more of a kind of a lighting from the sun and the moon, the actual direction of those lights. I don't know if I can't tell in this picture, but that would be really interesting if it did that. So obviously that would have to mean that, like, if the sun is here on my left shoulder, then my shadow would be cast to the right, and once it passes over, my shadow would cast to the left accordingly. That'd be interesting. That's something they don't currently have. But view distance looks just the exact same. There's some lighting on that house it's in the demo but not in here. I don't know what that means, if anything. But I'm glad to see the view distance is the same. That would really bum me out if they had increased it. So we're kind of seeing identical images here. Not a whole lot's changed, and to me that's a good thing. And what I want to finish with here is the video settings and all the interface options. If you can see here on the original client, the video options was very different. You had a very different setup for how you could change everything, and I don't believe you had quite as much control. And for example, interface options kind of removes you out of the game completely. It takes up the whole screen. And so, like, advanced options compared to it looks like that the classic WoW client, the demo version, retains the Battle for Azeroth Legion system of doing it. So you can see here the old version, and here's the new version. Now, as you can tell, this is BFA, and it seems that they've, on the demo version, retained this system of interface settings and graphics. So that is obviously a change, but ultimately I don't see this really impacting the game in any way. But again, it is another change. So we are seeing overall just some changes to the game that, in my opinion, are minor. Most of them are very, very minor. I think once we actually get our hands on the demo, we can play, see some of the mechanics, we'll be able to notice if they've made any core changes to the mechanics of the game, to the world, and things that I think are more impactful. So another week till that comes out. Just for the record, we will be streaming it here on Classic Azeroth. We'll stream it on YouTube, so once you see us live, we'd be happy to show you. We're going to be focusing on the Hunter and Shaman changes specifically, and mostly just checking the mechanics. So if you want to see how that goes, be sure to catch us when the classic demo is available. I know there's going to be some restrictions regarding how long you can stream, so if you want to follow us on Twitter or on Facebook, we'll be sharing or tweeting out when we're live. So if you want to check that out, just look for that. But other than that, I appreciate your guys' time, and I will see you guys next time.